all game. We are motivated. We are dedicated. Come on now. Come on now. We will win because we are the best on the field. And we hit the field like all day light, all night light, on the blue light, offense light, defense light, his squad light, house call light, and the sound light, and the sound light, and the sound light.
I'ma do this here forever.
EQ.
Forever.
Triune.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever. I'ma do this here forever.
Let's go.
All you haters better get comfy. This the day you've been waiting on. Y'all road is finna get bumpy. This the track I'm making my statement on. I ain't going nowhere. This the place that I'm making home. I'll do this shit forever. Hit the gas and I'm taking off. Ow. I was born with passion. My job is never ending and my hustle's everlasting. No matter what, I'm gon' ball, even with my back to the wall. And the best part is that this is the beginning. I'ma do this here forever. Forever. I'ma do this here forever. Forever. I'ma do this here forever. Forever.
Welcome everybody to the Short Sports Show. I am your host Daniel Short. Today is Friday, November 27th, 2015. How did everybody enjoy their Thanksgiving meal? You feeling a little bit of not I can't even talk, not a letdown, but kind of just tired. Not really of a hangover. I mean, you might have if you guys got drunk on Thanksgiving. I mean, no judgment passed here, but really. Anyways, we got a lot to talk about. Great games yesterday, both in college football and the NFL. Really just two good games, or actually just one good game on college football, which was obviously the Texas versus Texas Tech game. That was a great game with Jakeem Grant. Still one of my favorite players. He is a speedster. Unbelievable play. If you didn't see the amazing play, you can look at it. You can watch it on my YouTube channel, The Short Sports Show, which is in the link below, no matter where you're listening to. And with that, welcome to The Short Sports Show. I am Daniel Short. I think I've already said that. I'm just excited. I'm excited. Actually, I'm really nervous. I think that's why I'm more kind of freaked out than anything, is because of the fact that it's Black Friday. And with that, Baylor and TCU go at it. Now, this is now the game that's far, far from what we all expected and hoped it was going to be, with Baylor now down to its third-string quarterback. TCU, we kind of think Boykin is going to play, but we don't really know just yet. Which, if you haven't seen the hype video, whether you're a TCU fan or not, if you're a college football fan, everybody knows of Trevon Boykin. Now, watch the TCU hype video, which you can also find on my Twitter page at @short_sports 24/7. Link is down below in the description, no matter where you're listening to. Watch the hype video that TCU that made. They make one for every game, every week, and this one, it's hyped. It goes through a few of the players, a few of the highlights throughout the season, and then you're just like, man, there's no Boykin. This is upsetting. And then it gets, it's amazing. It's amazing. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's just the video is really called #BeatBU. That's what it's called. So just go watch it on YouTube. It's amazing. Or go on my Twitter page at @short_sports 24/7. Self plugs everywhere. And you can watch it there. The song you guys heard in the intro was by Triune. And again, a special thanks to Triune and UNO Entertainment for letting the Short Sports Show use this, his brand new single, Forever, featuring EQ, as our new intro. You can also buy Triune's album, Raised to Fail, Born to Succeed, on iTunes now. And if you want that specific song, Forever, you can also buy that on iTunes or Spotify or anywhere. Google Play, whatever their music store is, you can buy it anywhere. It's a must get. You can follow Triune on www.therealtriune.com. Follow him on Twitter at iTriune. His Facebook page the same, Instagram's the same, and his YouTube channel, he also even talks about sports, is iTriune as well. On all the links of his are down below. Also buy his shirts. He got a clothing. It's awesome. It's amazing. I love the song. It gets me hyped. It got me hyped already. Thankfully, it actually worked. Now, apparently, the song and the interview last week with Ezekiel Elliott, everything came out. You guys could hear it. Even though it showed that it didn't look like you guys were getting anything of it. I could not hear. I still can't hear music. I don't know or anything other than myself. I don't understand. Spreaker Studio, fix it. But yeah, anyways, moving on. So I apologize for that. But let's get on with college football news. I feel like there's something I was going to talk about. Something. I'm missing something. If you're listening live, or if you want to listen live next time, in case you guys are listening to this later on, you can always listen on Spreaker.com. And just right when I go live, I tweet it out every time I go live. Go on Spreaker, type in the Short Sports Show, and you should see it there. And you can actually chat on the show. You can talk to me throughout the show whenever we're talking about different topics. You guys want to put your input. I always ask for what you guys think, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or through here on Spreaker Studio now, which is amazing. We can chat live. You guys can talk to me, and I can get y'all's opinions at the same time. Awesome way to interact with you guys, which would be fun to do. Now, anyways, now let's officially move on to college football. Now, Baylor quarterback Jarrett Stidham is, of course, out for the regular season after breaking a bone in the back of his right ankle, which, just thinking of the fact that you break a bone in your ankle, it's just nasty. He's going to be in a boot for about 2 to 3 weeks, but is expected to play in the team's bowl game whenever that might be. Art Briles said on ESPN Radio. Stidham suffered the injury in the first half of Baylor's 45-35 win over Oklahoma State on Saturday. Briles said Monday that Stidham was highly questionable for tonight's game against TCU with the injured fibula as well as back and hand injuries. Art Briles does not give a damn what injuries you have unless you have broken something. It doesn't matter how bad, how close it is to breaking. Until something breaks, you're going to play for him. I mean, you had Seth Russell, broke something in his spine, just got all sorts of screwed up. And then Stidham had a back and hand injury, said, nope, you're still playing. Then he breaks a bone in his ankle, and then he's like, all right, now you got to come out. So now the number 7 ranked Bears turn to sophomore Chris Johnson, who led them to a win. I guess really didn't lead them to a win because, I mean, they basically had it. But anyways, came in and he did pretty well. Passing was like, I believe it was like 5 of 10 or something like that, but he still threw for 120 plus yards, 2 touchdowns. He connected on a long 72-yard bomb to KD Cannon. So he obviously he was a receiver. He was a receiver. So he knows what the receivers are supposed to do, how they were supposed to run the routes. He knows this offense, and he knows that, hey, you just got to sling the ball about 40 yards and let the receiver do the rest, or even just 5 yards with Coleman and all these pieces that Baylor has. You just throw it about 5 yards and let them just watch them do work. Hopefully that does not happen tonight against TCU, but with our secondary, you never really know. I mean, they played great against Oklahoma, but, you know, who knows? So Stidham, back to him. He has thrown for 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns this season, and obviously he started after Seth Russell went down. So Baylor is also hurt. I think I saw a report that said their running back, Shock Linwood, he is questionable for tonight's game. So all of this TCU Baylor, we all talked about it was going to come down to this, the Big 12 championship game in preseason. We talked about this was going to be it. For both teams, they were going to be undefeated, and it's all going to come down to the Black Friday matchup. Then the injury bug decided to start in Fort Worth all from preseason all the way throughout the season. Then it traveled down the past few weeks to Baylor, and Baylor's been bit with it. It's incredible what's happened. And tonight's game, I don't know how it's going to be. Obviously, both teams like to sling it out, whether Boykin is there or not. We might see a real different offense between both of these. It's supposed to be very cold and it's supposed to be very rainy tonight in Fort Worth, Texas. So it could be a completely different matchup. It's going to be a completely different matchup than we all thought it was going to be. But it's going to be exciting. I'm going to be screaming at my at my TV all night long. It's whether it's happy or bad, I really don't know. Anyways, moving on. The Washington Huskies have signed Coach Chris Peterson to a 2-year extension through the 2020 season. It was announced Thursday. Peterson has gone 13-12 with the Huskies since signing a 5-year deal to succeed Steve Sarkisian, which is really not that hard to do because, well, we all know Steve Sarkisian. It just sucks. Prior to that, Peterson went 92-12 in 8 seasons at Boise State. Now, Peterson will be paid $4 million per season in 2019 and 2020. And that's the same he was scheduled to make in 2018 as well as the final year of his original contract. So for those 3 years, he'll be paid $4 million, but the rest will stay the same, whatever it was. He's led the Huskies to an 8-6 record last season and a spot in the Cactus Bowl in their first year. And then this year, just a very young team, brand new quarterback, and a few other guys on the offense. They're 5-6, and they have to beat Washington State to get bowl eligible. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a fun game. Finally, that Apple Cup. It's the 108th Apple Cup tonight, or today actually. Well, and it's finally good to see that both teams are going to be somewhat competitive. Washington, very stout defense. DBs know how to play. Obviously, Washington State loves to just chunk the ball, and they've been pretty well at it this season. So it's going to be a fun matchup. It really is. Throw out the records, and we all know rivalry. I can't even talk. That commercial screwed me up, guys. The commercial with the College Football Hall of Famers, Bo Jackson, and a few others, they can't say rivalry, and so it's been stuck in my head. I've seen that commercial so many times. I'm like, rub. It's tough to say. But throw out all the records. We already know that. So it's going to be a fun matchup with that as well. Some recruiting news. Devois Whaley, I hope I said his name right. The number 49 prospect in the class of 2016 is leaving the state of Texas for college. The 6', 205-pound running back from Beaumont Central High made a Thanksgiving Day commitment to Georgia, telling ESPN he was choosing the Bulldogs over Arkansas, Texas, and Texas A&M. Now, Whaley and Georgia is going to get really good for Georgia. And I think this will probably save Mark Rich's job. Here, check this out. So, Whaley is, of course, the number 3 running back in the class of 2016. And he joins ESPN 300 Elijah Holyfield, the number 10 overall running back in the class of 2016. And yes, the Holyfield name does resemble because he is the son of Evander Holyfield. Probably knows how to hit. So you got those 2 young backs right there, but you also have Sonny Michael and Nick Chubb next season. So you have a stable of running backs. Now, whether you redshirt Whaley and or Holyfield and you let Nick Chubb and Michael play, that's probably what I would do. Let them sit back and let those guys watch and gain that atmosphere and know what it's like playing there. And watch Nick Chubb do his thing and watch Sonny Michael do his thing if they could stay healthy. Huge for Georgia on that offense. I think this should save Mark Rich's staff and himself for his job at Georgia, saying, look, we're still pulling in recruits. We know how to do this thing. We know how to get this thing running. I need you guys to give me one more year and watch what I can do with these guys. Should be exciting. I think he keeps his job. He should. Auburn, they landed the number 1 overall wide receiver in the country in Kyle Davis Wednesday morning. The 6'2", 218-pound athlete out of Archer High School in Lawrenceville, Georgia, chose the Tigers over, you guessed it, Georgia and Tennessee. As a senior, Davis totaled 773 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns on 47 receptions. He's a 4-star prospect, which doesn't make any sense to me by ESPN. This is why I don't go by ESPN's rankings. Because if you're the number 1 wide receiver in the country, how are you a 4-star? Rivals has him as 5-star. I think 24/7 as well. It's weird. He originally committed to South Carolina before the season, but then he backed away after other things have happened with South Carolina. It's just like, I don't want to go to South Carolina. I don't blame him. He's also one of many prospects to visit Auburn for the Iron Bowl this weekend, which could be really, really bad. I wonder if he sticks with this commitment. Others include nation's number 1 ranked player, Rashawn Gary, linebacker Rashawn Smith, It's weird. They both have the same pronunciation, but they spell their names differently. And Rashawn Gary and Rashawn Smith. I just now looked at that right now. Anyways, and running back Kareem Walker, who is a recent Ohio State decommitment, is the number 1 running back in the country. And that's going to be interesting to see where he goes. And maybe he even goes back to Ohio State. You know, Ezekiel Elliott's gone. And majority of this offense is gone. Early playing start. Urban Meyer should still be there, possibly. You know, a crazy thing, I was listening to someone else, and they said that Urban Meyer, the longest he's ever been at a school coaching as a head coach, 5 years, and that was at Florida. I believe next year is 5 years. I believe so, or this year and next year is 5 years for Urban Meyer. So, not saying it's going to be a trend, but that's not a whole lot of, safety net right there when a successful coach like him has only been the longest he's been out of school is 5 years as a head coach. Not really well. LSU head coach Les Miles calls his job speculation a pretty prevailing and evident distraction. After his weekly media briefing after Wednesday's practice, Miles said he has not spoken this week with athletic director about whether he will return as the Tigers head coach. Now, you guys, if you listen to the show, I have been the guy in support of keeping Les Miles. I mean, there's a lot of things why, and we'll talk about it in just a second. But this is what Les Miles had to say. Quote, "I have no idea. I would love to think that there's another 11 years. I enjoyed them so much," end quote. So his job status has been in question for more than a week, and speculation has only intensified with LSU in the middle of its first 3-game losing streak since 1999. I mean, it's been tough. You lost to Alabama. Okay, that's normal. You lost to Arkansas, which just began its hot streak a game after you. So, or a game before you. So, maybe, but you're kind of like you should have won that. You were at home, better team, should have won it. You lose that, and then you lose to Ole Miss, but Ole Miss has been so inconsistent. You don't know what team that was. You don't know if that was a team that beat Alabama or that was a team that lost to Memphis. You don't really know what team that was. And now, what's going to happen? Les Miles says, quote, "Certainly we've run into distractions before, but this seems pretty prevailing and an evident distraction." And it really is. I mean, how can you get your players confident and ready to go every week, especially every single day through practice and film study, knowing that by all these reports, basically the majority of them have been saying you're out. So why are the players going to be like, you know what? We can't make the playoffs. The SEC championship is out. So what is here really to play for now? Why should we really listen to this guy? A lot of just really negative things can start happening with this. The reason I don't believe Les Miles should be fired is because since his time at LSU as a head coach, he has won 77.5% of his games. The best winning percentage for any coach in the modern era of LSU football. And, it's been good for him. Now, there's a downside. Since 2011, the last time LSU won the SEC title, it's kind of been on a downslide for them. Now, if LSU loses this Saturday to Texas A&M, which don't really know what A&M team you're going to get, it will be the program's second straight 4-4 season against the conference opposition. So that's where it's like, okay, you are winning, majority of the games, but you're losing in our SEC. You're not, while you're bringing a lot of 7 and 4, seasons like that. It's not helping. 7-5 seasons, 8-4 seasons, 9-3 maybe. They want bigger and better things. And one interesting article that was out there, I forgot who it was by, but if you just type it in, you'll find it. It was a great one because it said, this was the headline. It said, quote, "Why does LSU want Les Miles out?" And answered its question saying, because he's not Nick Saban. everybody in the SEC is so focused because Alabama's continuing to dominate, continuing to win, and beat all these other teams. Rightfully so. I mean, it's just crazy how it's happening because who wants to go to Alabama? Who wants to play in Tuscaloosa? That's beyond me. You'd rather go there than some other beautiful place that has something to offer you. But yeah, they go to Alabama, and they're so used to watching Nick Saban just dominate, and they're just like, why aren't we getting that here? But they're just completely disregarding what Les Miles has done. I don't know. He continues to bring in a recruiting class. I say you make a switch on offense. I think he should come out after the game before anything happens, whether you win or lose, and you make a stand right there, and you fire your well, if you win, maybe not, but if you lose, you definitely just say, hey, look, Cam Cameron, you're gone. We're firing him. And then just come out with a statement for everybody, in front of everybody in media, and say, look, we are looking for a offensive genius, someone to spread this ball around, and high-powered offense, and that's what we're going to plan to do. And we're getting ready for our bowl game. We're changing up our offense. That is what you should do. Probably should have done it before this game. Get fans excited and kind of, I know it sounds bad. It's like taking the blame off of him and firing someone else. But people have already realized, look, this offense isn't working. I mean, you guys have to do something different. And the only way to really win and compete and beat Alabama and other teams, you spread out this ball. Ole Miss has done it. A few other teams have done it. Alabama still hasn't done it, but they just have the most boring offense, but it just gets it done. I don't know how. But anyways, Les Miles has to do something because it's looking like no matter what he does, even if he wins this game, I still feel like he's probably out. I don't think he should be, but I feel like he's probably out. We'll just have to see come Saturday. No charges will be filed and no arrest made after the investigation into alleged sexual assault at the home of 3 Nebraska football players. A 20-year-old woman reported that she was assaulted on November 15th at the home of Nebraska quarterback Tommy Armstrong Jr., wide receiver Jordan Westerkamp, and tight end Trey Foster. No suspects were named. Police interviewed the Nebraska players and 3 others at the home at the time of the alleged incident. The investigation concluded Tuesday, according to the police chief, saying, quote, with the investigations and with the Lancaster County Attorney's Office, we do not feel that we have the elements of a crime that we can go forward with, end quote. But check this out. This is where Mike Riley knows he made a mistake leaving Oregon State, even though I know Oregon State sucks now, but probably could have done a little bit better. And just like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Coach Mike Riley said Monday that his team was preparing to face the third-ranked team in Iowa, on Friday, despite the investigations, meaning all 3 of those players, in Tommy Armstrong Jr., Jordan Westerkamp, and Trey Foster, had all been practicing, ready to go. Which, maybe, obviously he probably had more knowledge. Obviously, he did have more knowledge than me of the incident, knowing that, hey, I feel confident that these guys are going to be able to play, so they're going to practice. But it's just like, I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't really say that all players have been practicing. Maybe give them some film study for the majority of the days. But I don't know. It's just weird. Because it just seems bad. Because what if they are guilty, right? And we do find out later on, a year or 2 from now, that they were, and it's like they practice, especially if they beat Iowa. You know how upset Iowa's going to be? All those fans? This is their once in a lifetime ever that Iowa is undefeated right now. And Nebraska, we're all rooting for you. So, actually, I don't really mind that those players were practicing. We're all rooting for you, Nebraska. One and only time. Michigan State has some news. Quarterback Connor Cook will likely be a game day decision for the 9th-ranked Spartans as they attempt to clinch a divisional championship in the Big Ten East against Penn State this weekend. Cook did not play in Saturday's win over number 3 Ohio State in Columbus. He suffered a shoulder injury in the previous week's game against Maryland, and head coach Mark D'Antonio said he was not sure whether his quarterback's health currently stands and if he's ready to go. So, with that, Michigan State and coach Mark D'Antonio said that Michigan State's offense could use Cook as an emergency option or in small amounts against Penn State on Saturday. Obviously, he knows that defense is one of the best, and he doesn't really want to get his quarterback re-injured like, some guy named Tony Romo. Anyway, Spartan quarterbacks Tyler O'Connor and Damian Terry split reps at quarterback against Ohio State and look to do that again this week if Connor Cook cannot go. But there is some good news, Michigan State fans. Really good news. You guys all remember All-American player. I was going to say All-Star, but All-American linebacker Ed Davis wants to return to the program for the 6th season in 2016 if the NCAA approves his injury waiver. Davis was an All-American candidate for the Spartans defense before a season-ending knee injury in August. Before the season even started, he was out. A huge blow. All these people saying the Michigan State's defense isn't the same, which it really hasn't since the past few years, but he was the leader. He would have got these guys right and ready to go every single week. And hopefully the NCAA says yes so he can return, because it'd be huge for this defense and Michigan State moving forward next season if Ed Davis is that starting middle linebacker for them that they need him to be. And I believe, that was it for college football. That's it for the news. And let's go ahead and go with picks. It's time for the picks, guys. Now, this year it's been pretty disappointing in my picks. I went with upsets so much this year, guys. I really did. I thought upsets were just my thing to do. I felt confident in all those picks, and I was wrong about probably 60% of those picks. So we're starting fresh. We're starting brand new because we got to get ready for picking all those bowl games. Let's start off this week. Let's go with starting off at 11 a.m., which actually starts, 11 a.m. Central. Here in just about an hour and a half from now, Navy and Houston going at it. Navy is a 3-point favorite. This game is on ABC, and it's at Houston. Greg Ward, I believe, should start. I think I saw that right. He should start, even though he came in last week in the loss against UConn, and his first play was an interception to seal the deal for UConn. So, Navy, Houston, and if you're in the Houston area, apparently by StubHub right now, there is 1,400 tickets left for as low as $9. $9. If I was next to Houston, I would go. This is going to be a fun game. It's going to be a really fun game to watch. Keenan Reynolds obviously doing his thing, over 1,000 yards rushing, 18 touchdowns. If Greg Ward can get this offense going and this defense can step up. I mean, they did play pretty well against UConn. They didn't allow many points. Gave their offense a chance. Didn't really happen for their offense. I think Houston pulls it out. I mean, all you got to do against Navy is really just get a two-score lead. And then you could really just sit back and do whatever you want, because Navy is going to just have to run the ball. It's going to be a different thing for their defense. They had all week to prepare for. Navy's kind of been ready for these type of offenses defensively. So we'll have to see. But I'm going to go Houston here. I'm going to go Houston to take the win. Houston, please do this for me. Western Michigan at Toledo. I don't really care for this game, so I'm gonna go Toledo. Washington State and Washington at 2:30 on Fox in Seattle. Washington is a 7-point favorite. Luke Falk has just been amazing for Washington State. Almost 4,300 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, a school record. Gonna be good. Myles Gaskin for Washington, 983 yards and 8 touchdowns. I believe UW gets the win at home. The crowd's going to be crazy. They're going to be ready for this game. Defense, I think, forces a few turnovers that really get this offense pumped, and Jake Browning has his breakout game and ends the season right with a bowl eligibility. Taking Washington, taking the Huskies, UW all the way. Number 4, Iowa and Nebraska. Tommy Armstrong, we just talked about him. He will start, as well as Jordan Westerkamp and Trey Foster. Iowa's a 2-point favorite. 2:30 Central on ABC. 21 degrees in Nebraska. It's going to be crazy. All these games are going to be cold. It's going to be cold. I'm taking Nebraska just because, hey, I see, you know what? To see, That's what I've done. I've always gone for these upsets, and I've been wrong every time with the upsets. So hopefully, maybe if I pick the favorite, then the upset will happen. I'm taking Iowa. It's a stupid way to do this, but I am taking Iowa. Please, Nebraska win. I really don't want to see Iowa in a big and not in the Big Ten championship. I don't care about that. I don't want to see them in the playoffs. I'd be devastated if they were in the playoffs. It'd be probably the most boring playoffs we can have. Oregon State at Oregon. I don't even know why Oregon State's even going to try to play this game. They gave up 52 points to Washington's offense last week. Imagine what Oregon's going to do. Vernon Adams finally has it clicking. Sadly, it's basically the last game of the season. And Royce Freeman just doing his thing. 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns. Braylon Addison, almost 700 yards receiving. Vernon Adams, 2,000 yards passing with 22 touchdowns. I'm taking Oregon with the W. Huge. I don't even care about the spread. They're 36-point favorite. Taking Oregon Ducks here to get the win. This game is on Fox Sports 1 at 6:30, and the last ranked game in college football tonight at Amon G. Carter Stadium. Got to protect the Carter in Fort Worth, Texas. 45-degree game. Number 7 Baylor against number 19 TCU. TCU a 1-point favorite because of Boykin possibly playing. Also, Baylor's quarterback out and possibly Shock Linwood. Hopefully he is out. How can I go against my Frogs? I can't go against my Frogs. I'm taking TCU here all the way. Oh, I wish I was at this game so very badly. I am taking TCU to win this game all the way, always. And I really hope we win this game. I can't stand another loss to Baylor. I just can't. I hate Baylor. Hashtag sucks to be you. I'm going TCU all the way. Go Frogs, baby. Saturday, we have Ohio State taking on Michigan. Ohio State a 1-point favorite in Ann Arbor. This game is at 11 a.m. on ABC on Saturday. I am taking Michigan, of course, to go with this W. Michigan all the way. Clemson, South Carolina. Let's go speed round real quick. Clemson. Colorado at Utah, taking Utah. Penn State at Michigan State. Now, this is a tough game. Michigan State is a 10.5-point favorite, but I don't know. I mean, Penn State, this is tough. I don't even care if Connor Cook starts or not. I feel like this game's still just going to be very close. I don't understand how Michigan State's a 10.5-point favorite. So I'll take Michigan State. I guess. I don't know. I really want to pick Penn State, but they couldn't get it going against Michigan. No, I'm taking Michigan State. Northwestern against Illinois. North Carolina against North Carolina State. Ladies and gentlemen, going with the upset. I'm taking North Carolina State. North Carolina is a 5.5-point favorite, but this game is at North Carolina State. And I think Jacoby Brissett wants to end this season with a high mark. And I think the crowd's going to be crazy, obviously. Going North Carolina State. Just have to take them. North Carolina State to get the upset over North Carolina. Alabama and Auburn. I'm taking Auburn. No, I'm just joking. That's funny. Going with Alabama here. Derrick Henry, an absolute boss. 21 rushing touchdowns, 1,500 yards. Derrick Henry all the way in Alabama. Roll Tide. UCLA versus USC. Taking UCLA here. I am a much bigger fan of USC than UCLA, but it's just Josh Rosen, Paul Perkins, and this UCLA defense is too legit to and USC just they can't compete against it. Going UCLA here. UConn at Temple, taking Temple here. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. I want to take Mississippi State, and I'm going to take Mississippi State. It's 6:15 on ESPN2. Ole Miss is a 1-point favorite, but I'm taking Mississippi State. Florida State at Florida. Florida, you probably should have 2 more losses on your schedule on your record overall. So I'm taking Florida State because Dalvin Cook is just going to go off and try to help get him into the Heisman race or continue to increase, maybe do something to get him going in the Heisman race. Taking Florida State here. Notre Dame at Stanford. I told you guys I'm a huge fan of Christian McCaffrey now. He has just gone off, and I think he's going to do it again. It's at Stanford. It is Stanford, a 3.5-point favorite, and my pick is Stanford. Going with Stanford all the way for the game. And then finally, last game, number 3 Oklahoma taking on number 11 Oklahoma State. Samaje P. Ryan, Baker Mayfield will play. I am taking Sooners. Going with the Sooners here. Have to take them. 7-point favorite. And just more complete team. This defense is legit. I need to get that kid. I need to get that the soundboard of him. So I say legit a lot. So I'm taking Oklahoma to get the W. Moving on to the NFL, and you guys know me. I am a huge Johnny Manziel fan, but it looks like it's all but over for him. At least for the Cleveland Browns job. Cleveland Browns quarterback Johnny Manziel lost his starting job because he decided to lie to the team's coaching staff about when the video of him partying in Austin, Texas was recorded. A week after being a team starter he was named a team starter for the rest of the year, not just for the week, for the rest of the season. It was all for him. And he decided to go out and party and then lie, and is now not demoted to just backup. Third string backup for the Browns. For the Browns. You might as well just play in the Arena Football League. Oh, my goodness. Why? According to a league source, Manziel lied directly to head coach Mike Pettin about when the video was filmed. He also encouraged his friends to lie about when the video was recorded. And apparently a source said that he might have kept the job had he just told the truth. Pettin was asked Wednesday if Manziel admitted the video was from last weekend, and he said, quote, "I won't get into details of what we talked about." Now, Manziel, if you guys remember, he spent 10 freaking weeks in a treatment facility during the offseason. Now, they say for undisclosed reasons, but we all know it's because of the alcohol and the drinking and he having a problem and stuff. After this happened and this got reported everywhere, his own father said that he was afraid he would one day get a phone call from the police saying Manziel was either in jail or worse. The video showed Manziel singing in a nightclub holding what appeared to be a champagne bottle. One day after the video surfaced and after meeting with Manziel, Pettin announced that backup quarterback Josh McCown, former starter, would now be the team starter and replace Johnny Manziel. Pettin said, quote, "When you have a great opportunity in front of you, it is important that you demonstrate that you can handle the responsibility that comes with it. I can't emphasize enough the importance of the trust and accountability piece. This is where we had an obvious shortcoming." Now, he was never a fan of Johnny Football. And he finally said, you know what? After throwing for 372 yards, and even though you lost against the Steelers, I'm going to name you the starter for the rest of the season. And don't ever say I didn't give you a chance. He got it, and he blew it. Johnny Manziel blew it. Pettin talked to Manziel about during the bye week to appropriately represent the organization because he knew it was the bye week and he was just named the starter for the rest of the season. Big news for everybody and Manziel. And Manziel even told reporters before the bye week that he was, quote, not going to do anything that was going to be a distraction to this team or be an embarrassment to the organization. Bam! And then it happens. He obviously has a problem. I mean, I get it. Most people are like, well, he just went out to have a good time. What's the big deal? If it's any other player, he's fine. True. If it's any other player, it's fine. They have a video of it, him partying with a bottle. It's fine if it's any other player, even if it's another quarterback. I mean, it might be bigger news because it's a quarterback, but it's going to be fine. The the reason it's such a big deal and the reason he was benched for basically the rest of the season, in case a crazy number of injuries happen, is because he just went through a 10-week program during the offseason. And then you had the situation last month when witnesses reported him driving dangerously on the interstate highway, and his girlfriend said that he got in a physical with her in the car, and that, you know, when Manziel was questioned by police, he smelled alcohol on Manziel's breath, but did not give a field sobriety test because he didn't show no signs of, you know, being drunk or anything. And just last week, the NFL announced that Manziel would not face any discipline for the incident. And then this happens. You have to just stay low key. That's it. This was finally your shot. And now it's gone. And it will be gone for Cleveland. He's done. There's no way he'll be in a Browns uniform in 2016. Expect him to either be cut during the offseason or to be traded. I know they said they wouldn't do it before this happened, but now you can't trust him no more. And whatever happens, you know, whether he's going to have to sit out a year, which I think is a little extreme, but he's definitely has to have some type of a year program. He's got to go through an entire year program and cannot miss a step. Whatever it is, whatever thing he has to go through, because he has a problem and he can't stop. I mean, I don't know what it is. He needs to go somewhere where he can just kind of lay low. But the thing is, it's like, you don't want him to go to a spot where he's just going to be a backup, because that's definitely not going to do anything for him. You know, it's just not going to help him, because obviously he wants to play. But he needs to be with older veterans that can just give him some wisdom to say, hey, you got to calm down. Where that is, I don't know. Obviously, I want him to go to Dallas, but who knows with all this. But then again, you can't really say Dallas won't take a shot at him, because all Manziel has is a drinking problem. I mean, if you're going to sign a guy who had guns laid out on a table pointed at his girlfriend and still sign him, you're willing basically to draw. The drawing the line is after killing somebody, is then you won't play and you won't sign him. Johnny Manziel hasn't done that yet, so there's always a shot for Johnny Manziel to Dallas. Moving on, Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator Bill Davis is apparently pretty sure, even after 2 consecutive blowout losses, that Chip Kelly will continue to coach the team after this season. He said, he told NewJersey.com, quote, "Chip isn't going anywhere. Nope, I promise you that." So I guess since you're the defensive coordinator, Chip isn't going anywhere, but you are. You just lost bad to the Detroit Lions. You lost 45-14 to the Detroit Lions, who just a few weeks ago didn't even have an offense. They didn't even have an offense, and you just gave up 45 points. It probably would have been more. I mean, they really could have just stepped on the pedal if they wanted to. Obviously, there's no committee in college football or in the NFL, so they don't have to worry about that. But this could have been a much bigger loss for Philadelphia. Now, of course, Chip Kelly, all the rumors have been out for a long time, even before this season. He left Oregon to join the Eagles in 2013, and his name has been up multiple times for current college openings. And I don't know. Davis said he has no doubt that Kelly will return to the Eagles in 2016, saying, quote, "Absolutely. Not kind of committed, all in committed. I know it. He is a fighter. He don't run. You see the way he acts day by day. No change in Chip." Kelly remains committed to the Eagles, who are 4-7, can end their 3-game skid and still try to make a run at their second NFC East title in 3 seasons. I don't know about you, but have you seen their schedule? Here's the schedule for the rest of the season. At the Patriots, that's a loss. Home against the Bills, most likely a loss. Home against the Cardinals, that's definitely a loss. Home against Washington, you might win that one. And then the last game at the Giants, most likely a loss. So I'm looking at a 4-12, 5-11 season. There's no way they beat the Patriots. There's no way they beat the Cardinals. There's no way they beat the Giants. Maybe the Bills, but I'm thinking more in favor of the Bills that will win that. And you might beat Washington, but you might get the Kirk Cousins that threw for those 4 or 5 touchdowns against New Orleans, because the Eagles' defense and New Orleans' defense is almost just the same. So there's no NFC title for them. That's a guarantee. And I think the only game they win maybe is Washington. That's it. And if it was at Washington, I would pick Washington to win it. I don't know. Chip Kelly does say that he has confidence, saying, quote, "I have confidence in those players. I've seen them play before. I have a lot of confidence in those guys. I think we have some really good guys. I told those guys in the locker room that I have confidence in them." I think Chip Kelly needs to just cut his losses and just say, you know what, I'm out. Deuces. Y'all move on. Actually, no, he won't do that. He's got to get paid. I forgot. Sorry about that. That was stupid by me. He's just going to play out the season. If he gets fired, he gets fired because he still gets paid either way. And then he's going to go get paid some more by going to USC for the Trojans and taking the $5-6 million contract, whatever they offer him, and work from there. I want him to go to USC if he goes anywhere in Southern California, but he needs to get out of Philadelphia because that team is just garbage. And playing in Philadelphia, definitely if you're not winning, it's not going to be pretty for him. Dallas Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo returned from a broken collarbone that just lasted less than 2 weeks. While x-rays on Romo's re-injured left collarbone were inconclusive Thursday, the Cowboys have planned more tests today, but the quarterback is done for the season, a source close to Tony Romo said. Romo will have a CT scan on Friday, which is today, after he was forced from Thursday's 33-14 loss to the Carolina Panthers on the final play of the third quarter. The 35-year-old quarterback said the feeling he had after being sacked by linebacker Thomas Davis was, quote, similar to what he felt when he broke the collarbone in the win against Philadelphia on September 20th. Said, quote, "Going to the ground, you could hear something happen. You're just disappointed and feel like, I don't know what is going to happen. We'll see." End quote. Man, I don't know. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Romo missed 7 games after breaking the collarbone against the Eagles this season, and he missed the final 10 games of the 2010 season when he broke the same collarbone in a loss to the New York Giants. I don't know what he's going to do. Without Romo, the Cowboys return to Matt Castle as their starter for the second time this season. Coming off the bench Thursday, Castle completed 13 of 19 passes for 93 yards and a 2-yard touchdown pass to Cole Beasley in the fourth quarter. But really, you could tell after Tony Romo was down, Panthers knew they had it in wraps, and they just kind of said, you know what, we're just going to back off. And not that they didn't give it their all, but it wasn't everything. It wasn't everything. Castle, obviously, he went 0-4 before Romo's return. And the Cowboys also have quarterbacks Kellen Moore and Jamil Showers on the roster, on the practice squad in case one of them needs to get called up. Dallas does not play until December 7th on ESPN's Monday Night Football game against Washington, so they have a little bit of rest time to figure out what they're going to do on offense, and should they just give up on the year? I think so. Need to get a quarterback. Now, the best part about this game has to be, I guess, somewhat of a new rivalry with Josh Norman and Dez Bryant. Carolina Panthers cornerback Josh Norman said Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Dez Bryant disrespected him prior to Thursday's game. Norman said several of the younger Carolina defensive backs came into the locker room during warm-ups and said Bryant had called him out. He said Bryant, quote, popped off at him on the game's second play of the incompletion to the Pro Bowl receiver down the left sideline, which, as we saw, they kind of got into a little bit of argument. He said, quote, "He shouldn't have ticked off my DBs in pregame. That took me to a whole nother place. Once that happened, you can't get me fired up enough. I'm telling you, I'm going to be at your throat for 4 quarters every time." And he was. He truly was. Dez Bryant caught only 1 pass for 6 yards when Norman was defending him, and Dez Bryant finished off the game with only 2 catches for 28 yards on 8 targets. I mean, he was shut down the entire game. And Dez Bryant, he didn't even talk to reporters after the game. He was done. Norman said, quote, "The disrespect was through the roof," and even took a shot referencing Bryant's $70 million contract, saying, quote, "Hey, they need to get Dez $7 million back." He told reporters outside the locker room, according to the Dallas Morning News. And, man, it was just amazing. And the best part about this was Norman also called out Las Vegas odd makers and ESPN's Skip Bayless for disrespecting Carolina, saying, quote, "For everybody that pays their money for that, I appreciate you guys, but Las Vegas lost. And even Skip Bayless, we're going to give thanks to him for picking us a 2 or 4 point favorite underdog. I hope he's happy right now, at home, eating crow, because obviously he was wrong as well." Woo! Just brought the fire on that one. I love it. I love it. I love it. Josh Norman, he deserves a huge contract. He has just played lights out, as well as all the Carolina DBs and his whole Carolina defense. It was just absolutely amazing. And Josh Norman, way to bring the fire. Way to bring the heat. Steelers running back DeAngelo Williams, he's done a few things this season. Obviously he's been very productive. He's dropped a whole lot of weight this season. And he's wore pink, even though the NFL said you can't do that. He said, "Nah, screw it. I'm still gonna wear pink for breast cancer awareness," as his mom has had breast cancer. But probably the one most interesting thing he's done, probably in his life, had to be the picture you're seeing on your screen right now if you're watching on YouTube. It has to be this. You're looking at it. For people listening, DeAngelo Williams yesterday on Thanksgiving took a selfie with a turkey, and not one that's cooked. I'm talking about he's in his car talking on a phone and then pulls out another phone to take a selfie with a live turkey in his car. Just wow. You think you've seen everything, and then you haven't seen enough, because I don't know what I'm more shocked at. The fact that he has a special phone for taking a selfie, or him taking a selfie in a car while talking on the phone with a real live turkey in the passenger seat. It's I don't know. I wish it was a video instead of a photo, because that's crazy. I want to know if he kept the turkey. Did he kill the turkey? Did he make friends with the turkey? Does the turkey have a name? Who is the turkey? Where did the turkey come from? And will the turkey be at the game when the Steelers play Seattle on Sunday? There's a lot of questions with this. There's a lot of questions. I want to know. I love it, though. I love it. And finally, Washington cornerback Chris Culliver suffered a torn ACL in his right knee and will miss the rest of the season, a team source confirmed Thursday. Culliver injured his knee in practice Thursday, jumping a defended pass. It's a big blow to the team that is still trying to stay in the NFC East race, which is crazy to say for Washington, who was 4-6, and they host the first place New York Giants, who are 5-5 this Sunday. The team immediately feared the worst for Culliver, and it was only a matter of time before having that fear confirmed with the MRI after practice. Now, Culliver, he's not a big deal. A 4-year, potentially a $32 million contract now with him missing games this season. Who knows where that money's going to be, but still a pretty big deal. He was the team expected him to be the number one corner, but injuries have really hurt him to even take a chance at that. He's missed 3 games earlier this season because of swelling in his left knee, and another game due to a suspension. But he also injured his shoulder this past week at Carolina. He underwent an MRI for that earlier this week and was waiting a second opinion on the diagnosis. Obviously, it doesn't matter now. He has a torn ACL, and it will be out for the rest of the season. So I believe that is it for news. We will do our picks for wrapping up the show. Obviously, the Lions went off Matthew Stafford. Thankfully, the guy I'm going against on my fantasy team, he benched Matthew Stafford, and I had Calvin Johnson. So, woo, perfect for me. As the Lions improved to 4-7, Eagles dropped to 4-7, and the Lions won 45-14. Panthers improved to 11-0. Cam Newton didn't throw the ball a whole lot, didn't get any passing touchdowns. He did get his 7th rushing touchdown of the year, though, as the Panthers improved to 11-0 and beat the Dallas Cowboys 33-14. Cowboys dropped to 3-8. Just a rough year. And how about last night's game? The Bears, ladies and gentlemen, the Bears beat the Green Bay Packers 17-13. Aaron Rodgers, 22 of 43, 202 yards and a touchdown. Eddie Lacy, 17 carries for 105 yards, but he had a fumble that cost them a touchdown. So you take that away in the second quarter for Chicago, Packers win 13-17 possibly. You never know. Or maybe Packers score a touchdown there and make it a 20-10 game. Green Bay obviously retires Brett Favre's number 4. And it just hasn't been good. It just hasn't been good when people are retiring numbers. Chargers retired LT's number. They got crushed. That's just because they suck. And the Packers retire Favre's number. And they lose. Don't retire numbers, guys. Let's see. Raiders at the Titans. Going with, this is a tough game. The line is even. It's at the Titans, 12 o'clock Central Time on CBS. It's supposed to be rainy, but we don't really know just yet. 61 degrees in Tennessee. It's a tough game because Amari Cooper and Derek Carr, they're still doing their thing, and Michael Crabtree coming along for the Raiders. But the defense is bad. Marcus Mariota should have a pretty good day, but is it enough to put more points on the board than Oakland does? I don't know, but I'm going to take them anyways. I'm taking the Titans to get this W. Get their first win at home. They're 0-5 right now. Bills at the Chiefs. I'm going with the Bills. Buccaneers at the Colts. I'm going with Jameis Winston. To get this victory for the Buccaneers and improve to 6-5. Giants at the Washington. I almost said it. Going with Giants. Saints at the Texans. Going with the Saints. Vikings at the Falcons. Going with the Vikings. And they can now take first place overall in the NFC North now with the win. Rams at the Bengals. Going with the Bengals to end their slide. And Andy Dalton having a pretty okay-ish day. It's supposed to rain as well. 48 degrees in Cincinnati. Chargers at the Jaguars. Let's go Jaguars. I hope the Chargers lose every game. As a Chargers fan, I want us to have the first overall pick and do something. Whether it's a trade or picking someone at number 1. I hope we lose. Jaguars, and I honestly think Jaguars will probably beat us. Dolphins at the Jets. Going with the Dolphins here. I'm taking the Dolphins. Crazy, but I'm taking them. Cardinals at the 49ers. Going with the Cardinals. Steelers at the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks will get it. Thomas Rawls doing pretty well. Going with the Seahawks. Patriots at the Broncos. Patriots keep losing players. Broncos playing okayish. But I think Broncos do it. I think they end the slide. Brock Osweiler played pretty well last week. 20 of 25. And I'm going to take Broncos. I'm going to take them. They're at home. 34 degrees and possibly snowy. And then finally, Monday night's game, which it was going to be good, but now is going to suck because it's just going to be bad. This is the worst Monday night football game. I thought the Chargers game was a few weeks ago. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the worst Monday night football game. Ravens at the Browns. Ravens have lost everybody on offense, basically. And the Browns, well, they're just the Browns. I'm taking the Browns just because they actually have a few players. Usually doesn't mean anything with the Browns, but the Ravens, I mean, they're out of it. I'm taking the Browns here. And I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, whether you're listening on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreaker.com, YouTube, wherever it might be. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will be back this Monday morning to recap all these games and all the other good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you Monday morning. As always, God first, God bless. I'm out. Peace.
Squander my pride and my honor, the glory, the promise. Put it all on this field, leave none of these lockers. Leave none of these lockers. If this is real, I put it all on this roster. Put it all on this roster. When winning's the answer, we really got problems. I'ma do this here forever. Holla. Refuse to lose, I do my dues. Forever mean I am future proof. No palm readings, no tarot cards, no prophecies, and no voodoo use. My records ring like Napoleon.